In this video, what I'm going to show you is how to film with multiple different cameras and then later edit those together in Premiere Pro. Here I have 3 cameras, but you can do this with any number of cameras. My first camera here is just my iPad, which I will use to show you my other cameras. So the second camera is a camera that is showing what I am doing with my hands, where I'll be writing. And then a third camera that is going to be looking directly at me so I can talk to you. And one important thing is to have audio running on each of these cameras, and that'll help you with syncing. You'll see what I mean. Let's say I'm going to show you a little bit about dice and statistics, and I can just roll the dice here, show you this shot with the camera that's looking down at the paper. Maybe we're going to keep track of this. We have a 6, we have a 3, we have a 4, a 5, and a 5. And then we're going to maybe find the average or something like that. And let's say for now we're done filming. So what we're going to do now is take all of the cards out of the cameras and move those files to the computer or a hard drive. Now for editing. We have our files on the computer, one file for each camera. Now open Adobe Premiere Pro. Click New Project, name your project, and click OK. There are a number of ways that you can import your files, but one way is just by dragging them from their folder into Adobe Premiere Pro. Once they're in there, make sure the video files are highlighted and then right-click on them. You should see the option Create Multi-Camera Source Sequence. Name this multi-camera sequence, which will synchronize all of the files based on the audio. Then click OK, and it will process and synchronize the files. When it's done, there will be a Processed Files folder where the original video files will now be located. There will also be a new sequence, which you can open in the timeline. When you do that, you should see multiple blue bars, which are your video files, and the corresponding dark blue bars, which are your audio files. All of these video and audio files should be lined up and synchronized. You might not want to use all of your audio files, so you can choose which ones to mute by clicking the little M next to each of those bars. If you want a particular audio file from a particular video file, just click on the video file, you'll see which one is the corresponding highlighted audio file, and you can just unclick the M so it's unmuted. That timeline is just so you can see your files, but if you want to actually edit, you'll have to create something new. Right-click the multi-camera sequence, and you should see the option New Sequence from Clip. Clicking that should give you a new sequence and one green bar in your timeline. When you scrub through your timeline, you only see one of the video files up top, and what we want to see is all 3 videos that correspond to any particular time. To see all the videos for any one particular time, you'll need a new tool which you can get at this little plus sign. When you click it, you should see a tool that is the Toggle Multi-Camera View. Take that and drag it to your toolbar. When you click that icon, you should see the 3 video files, and the one that's highlighted you should see larger to your right. To start editing, you'll want to click the icon on the side that looks like a little razor. This is the cutting tool. So just take that and use it anywhere on the timeline to make a cut. You can even make a few cuts. Before getting to switching between cameras, if you just want to delete some small section of the video, then you can go to the left and click the selection tool and select some small section of the video and just click delete. Now you will have a gap in your timeline, which you can close by going to the left and click Track Selection Forward tool and select everything to the right of that gap and just dragging it back. So how do we switch camera views for the different parts of the video that we've cut apart? Now, the large video on the top right is the iPad, but if I click the lower video, that video becomes the camera that was looking directly at me. This view on the right will be the camera view that's selected for the part of the video that's highlighted in the timeline. To switch cameras for a different section of the video, just make sure that section of the video is highlighted in the timeline, and then click whichever view you want for that section. And repeat this anytime you want to change your camera view. Now you can hit the icon to turn off the multi-source view. For any part of the timeline, all you'll see now is just the video that you selected. Now let's export this section of the timeline that we've changed. Put the playhead at the beginning of the section, right-click and click Mark In. Put the playhead at the end of the section, right-click, and click Mark Out. Go to File, click Export Media, where you can choose your video format, like QuickTime, but here I'll stick with H.264 because that's a smaller file size. Choose the folder and file name to export to, and hit Export. Once it's done, just check out your file, which smoothly switches between the different camera views.